I didn't really believe that this was the presidential suite until I saw the sign, and it said it was the Kennedy presidential suite, and that explains the mirror on the ceiling over the bed. It explains a lot. Happy birthday, Mr. President. You'll see them mocked up and faked in practically any desert, Southwest video anywhere in, on television. But the fact is, they really only grow in a relatively small place in the country, and here is kind of ground zero on it. The great Saguaro Cactus, the largest. Yes, I believe it's the largest cactus in the world. Of course, we're here at a place called Gates Pass, just outside Tucson. We're heading into the Saguaro. Actually, we're in the Saguaro National Park, a nature preserve to protect these impressive cactus. So I'll tell you a story. When I was a kid, funny things happen to you in the desert if you don't have enough water. My dad and I were out hiking somewhere probably in this area, somewhere, and I was getting tired, just like James does. He starts dragging, and it's like, any further, and you start, and I came up, I got so tired, and I came up to a telephone pole, and I leaned against the telephone pole, and that's when I realized it wasn't a telephone pole. It was one of those cactuses just like that. And that is a lesson you learn exactly once in your life, and you don't make that mistake ever again. We're taking a short hike up to Signal Hill, which I'm guessing someone once signaled from. It's getting to be sunset, which is the most beautiful time of the day here. If we're lucky, maybe we can hit Gates Pass at sunset, which is awesome. And the disadvantages around here, sunset and evening means snake time. So we gotta keep an eye out for that. Fortunately, everyone else is way ahead of me, so they'll flush them out first.
Oh, there's deer.
I am on the top of Signal Hill. Family are heading back down so I can get a nice clean shot. Behind me, over here, is a bunch of petroglyphs, and I'll get some shots of those. This is going to be the first time I'm using the 4K camera on the iPhone 7 so that I can actually zoom in and maybe you can see them on video. Otherwise, there's a whole lot of nothing. I mean, it's pretty nothing, but, you know, we are in the desert on a small hill, and it's really nice up here, particularly at sunset. Let's see if I can get some shots of these petroglyphs. In there are a couple of deer, something like that. Down on that rock is a sun. Over there is kind of a weird spiral pattern. Back off there is a turtle shell and some other kind of four-legged animal. Way back there, not to the right where the graffiti is, but on the left is apparently some sort of a alien creature ascending into the skies. Proof that there were alien astronauts here. These are a bit easier to see. And now I'm heading back down the trail too. Gates Pass, sunset, moonrise. They're just about to kick everyone out. This time we're actually on Mount Lemmon, which I don't know that I've ever actually been to it. We call the whole area Mount Lemmon, but this is the actual summit. The rest of the others, Mount Bigelow and some of the others are been on, but this was usually blocked off. But the gate was open today, so time to go for a hike. The Prius smells a bit like it's hot. There's no warning lights or indicators, and it could just be warm car. Certainly the strongest, steepest road it's ever been up, but we are at the top, so it will be easy going down. We're high enough up, we're now in aspen territory. Well, this is the top, and it's Mount Lemmon Sky Center University Observatory. And we cannot go any further, but it's all downhill from here. That appears to be the highest point. Possibly the little mound over there, but this is the top. I learned something new that Siri can do today. You can ask her for the altitude and she'll tell you. We are at 2,780 meters, or 9,122 feet. That's quite high. That's why we're up in aspen territory. This is basically what you call a sky island. It's a mountain that's thrust up out of the flat, low desert. So you get unique flora and fauna here. They're trapped. They can't leave. Well, evolution doesn't work that fast, but in other words, the creatures that are up here have no way down and into the next batch of mountains because the intervening desert is too inhospitable for creatures that can live at altitudes like this. So there's quite a few of these dotted around Arizona, particularly southern Arizona, and this is one of them. We're back down in Tucson a bit early. The car was behaving strangely on the hill, and I thought best to be down here in case it goes wrong. Safer that way. We are here at the Codfather. That's the only authentic fish and chippy in town. At least that's what it says on the menu. I would tend to concur. You can see the pub in the background. There are pub people back there. They are pubbing.
I hatched an egg. It was an egg. But I got a 2K egg.
Then on the other side, and then the wall has 3 TVs.
And the boy has a one-track mind. The hell did that come from? I realized that transition from Tucson to not Tucson was very abrupt. So let me explain what happened. We were up on Mount Lemmon. The altitude there, as I said, is over 9,000 feet, I think. What did I say? I don't remember. 9,100, 9,200 feet. It's quite high. The air is thin. I've never had any trouble with it. I used to go up to that particular area, maybe not quite as high as the 9,000 foot, but certainly in the 7,000 and 8,000 foot range, and I never had any problem with atmosphere or breathing. You're winded a little easier. That's undeniable, but some people get altitude sickness. The kids didn't have any problem. Chulin didn't have any problem. We didn't have any problem. We were at the ski resort. We were starving. We went in. We had some food. We came out of the ski resort, and we were going to go back down. So we were at the highest point in the Santa Catalinas is technically which mountains they were, but Mount Lemmon is the highest one of the bunch, and you can drive up where we were. And there are several places along the way. There's like the trailhead to Mount Bigelow, and there's some of the camping spots and picnic spots, and we were just gonna, hit them on the way down, take our leisurely pace down, because it's lovely at that time of year. I mean, it was just, the weather was perfect. It was in the 70s. You've got the smell of pine and the wind. There were a lot of people up there, but it was, it was just a really, really nice day out, and there just isn't anything like that quite that close here to Phoenix. So that was planned to be our whole trip for the day in Tucson, and that was kind of the whole point of the trip, was we were going to spend a little time there Friday, and then Saturday morning get up Mount Lemmon and spend our time up there, and then come down and go home. Okay, long and short of it, after we finished eating, so we drove up, stopped the car. I mentioned that it smelled funny. I noticed it in the car, but then when we got out of the car, I got and smelled it, and I couldn't smell. I thought, well, maybe it was my imagination. Maybe it was a different car. There were a lot of cars on the road, and I'm not sure. We got out and we drove off, and no problem. We went down to the ski resort, which is a little bit lower, not much, but a little bit lower. And then we ate. We were there for at least an hour, and then we left there, and we're still heading down. Now, it's not always down. Sometimes you go up, and there's a couple of places where you come to Junction. Well, there's a place where you come to a junction and you come back up, and then you hit the main highway. Like this. And it's winding, and so it's kind of hard to see what's coming. I would call it a dangerous corner. And you're, sitting like this, waiting to get your chance to make a left turn. In our case. And we were there quite a while. There was a car ahead of us. He took quite a while to make the turn because there's a lot of traffic. And you kind of have to gun it and go. And when it came to my turn and I gunned it, and the Prius crawled at about 1 mile an hour. It was absolutely as if I had the brake on, which I did not. And giving it gas. And of course, we're committed now. We've pulled into the intersection at 1 mile an hour. And I was freaking. I was really, really worried. And once it got rolling, it started picking up speed, but it was... and then, we turned left, and that was a little bit up, and then immediately started going down. And for the most part, it was downhill for the rest of the way, which is about 20 to 25 miles. And I wasn't willing to stop at that point. I'm like, something? If this car is going to break down when I turn it off, I want to be in Tucson where a tow truck can get me, where they can take me to the nearest Toyota dealer. But having to come up that hill with a tow truck or having it taken down, not good. And these are good roads. There were lots of hybrids up there. There were lots of Priuses up there. I saw at least 3 Priuses and at least one other Toyota, like a Corolla hybrid. Shouldn't be a problem. Should not have been a problem. It just wasn't that brutal of a hill. But we went down, and I noticed that the car was behaving strange. It didn't, sometimes you'd get back up into a hill and just did not have the power it should have had. And what I noticed is the electric vehicle mode would not come on. It would not come on. We were running in gas power mode the whole way. And I checked my modes on the board, and there were times where we were basically going downhill for 1 mile, 2 miles, no ups, no downs, just some turns. The car should have kicked back into electric mode. It should have turned off the gas motor. It would not turn off the gas motor. And it almost acted like the electric motors weren't working. And then we came to a spot where we had to go in quite slow because there was a scenic overlook and there's parking on both sides and there's lots of crosswalks. And we came to that point and I really had to slow her down, and then the car kicked into EV mode. And I was like, I think we're okay. And we drove a little bit, got through that spot, picked up speed, EV mode went off again. Maybe it should, maybe it shouldn't have, but then we're downhill again, and it would not come back on again. And I know from the trip of South Mountain the week before that going down a hill like that, EV mode comes on. So we rode the entire way down, and it wasn't until we got back down to Tucson in the flats and started doing some stop and start driving that suddenly the car started behaving normally again. And nonetheless, I was, it still could be my imagination, but didn't feel like it had the power it was supposed to have. So we went over to a mall, and I found the back side of the mall, and I parked it there where there was plenty of empty space. And we went in the mall and killed half hour to an hour just to let the car sit, and came out, started it up, drove around the parking lot. Everything seemed perfectly 100% hunky-dory. We drove around town a little bit, stopped and had some food. Everything was working fine. Got in the car, drove it somewhere, got gas, everything working fine. Drove back to Phoenix, operated exactly like I would expect it to, and it has operated normally all day today. So I did do a little searching, and apparently there's some issues with high altitude in Priuses, but I'm going to look into that further. But I couldn't have taken it to a dealer. It was too late Saturday, and of course Sunday they're not open. So I've got to decide whether I should talk to them at the dealership. I may give them a call in the service department and see. But there were no warnings, no error codes, and nothing. So I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, that's what cut the trip a little bit short. Didn't get as much footage up there on the mountain as I would. It's very beautiful. But that's where we are at the moment. I'm also having trouble with my Zoom, although I think it's working now. I'm using the one that plugs into the phone. I can't get the Zoom recorder software to work, but I think I've got it working for recording this video. We'll find out. Anyway, so in the meantime, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.